All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need a.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How is
Good
everyone?
evening. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Everybody's good. Well, I hope everyone listening or watching also good, because this is 3 Cocktails In with Amy, Kitty, and Stacy. We're here every week. Did you know that? We're here every week with a new episode. Pretty amazing we've gone this long.
Yeah, it is the only thing that has remained consistent that I have committed to. If I would have designated one night a week to work out and been this religious, I would probably weigh less than I do.
Yeah,
Right?
Even one night a week.
Yeah.
that's right.
Oh, well, this is more fun than that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is.
A lot more.
Yes, and it's mentally healthy.
Yes.
Yes,
It
so
is.
it's a win-win.
I know. We get to see each other every week, talk about crazy stuff, whatever's on our mind at the time, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a crazy story to share.
You
Okay.
do.
I do.
Go for it.
So I don't know if I've talked about this or not before, but yes, I live in a condo, but my next door neighbor likes to smoke a little bit, smoke a little weed a little bit. And I went off I actually went and looked it up last November. I complained to management. I'm like, I am tired of my place smelling like an ashtray. I'm ticked off. It was that in between stage when it wasn't cold enough to have the air conditioning on, it wasn't hot enough to have the heat on, so I didn't have anything blowing. So scents just meandered in, whatever, and I didn't really blow them out. 2 nights ago at 11:30 at night, bam, 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 I got a knock on my door. I was out. I was asleep. So I throw my robe on and I kind of go and look like, am I hearing things or what? It was my neighbor. He was like, come. I go, hello? I'm kind of out of it. And he goes, come to the door. I'm like, hello? Yes. I didn't open the door. I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
Quit calling the office and telling them I'm smoking. I get fined every time you do that. I just got home, for God's sake. I haven't even been home tonight. I'm like, I didn't call. I didn't call on you. Oh, come on, he says. I'm like, no, I didn't call. Well, and then he went to his room.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
I know.
So at least you're not the only one complaining about it.
I know. So when, I didn't do anything about it, but when I came home from work the next day, I knocked on his door because I just wanted to set the record straight and say, hey, I just want to point out, I haven't complained since November. So if you're getting fines, there are a lot of other people that must be getting the same smell.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't complained in a long time because it's far and few between and it doesn't permeate my whole condo. It's just kind of a little bit in my bedroom. And as I kind of have joked before, I'm only in my bedroom when I go to sleep. So it might be a sleep aid that I'm getting secondhand, sort of thing. But that was a little fine. How do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was he home then when you knocked on his door?
No, he didn't answer.
Oh,
I don't know if he was home or not.
yeah.
So I thought about sliding a note under the door, but at this point, I just kind of feel like letting it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's interesting that he would think it's you and come at you. So
I know, right?
yeah. Probably not good.
So is he getting a fine because somebody's complaining, or is he not supposed to be smoking because he owns the unit?
No, he's a renter, but it doesn't matter if you rent or own. You can't smoke indoors unless you've been here since before that law
Okay.
went into effect. So
Okay.
that unit's not
Mhm.
that's not grandfathered in.
Yeah.
And even if the unit is and it's a rental, that doesn't work.
Mhm.
You know, if it's a rental unit, then there is no. So,
Yeah.
Interesting.
well, welcome to city living, people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe he'll get kicked out.
4 years,
Someday.
almost 4 years I've been down here. And that's
Hmm.
other than the first weekend when the guy across the hall decided he didn't like me and he's never talked to me since.
Oh,
Other than that,
Yeah.
I'm a good neighbor.
evidently.
Is it the same guy?
Across the street or across the hall from me?
Yeah.
No, one's right next door. So my bedroom wall shares a wall with I don't know how
Okay.
their layout is. The other
Okay.
one's right doorway to doorway across
Yeah.
the
Okay.
hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
Well.
I guess. So you're not
Yeah.
really making any friends, right? In your apartment.
nope. And I was out of my comfort zone.
I was going to say that's our topic for tonight. This is we're starting month 3 of our making friends, our friendship plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Month 1 was stepping out of your comfort zone, deciding what you want out of new friendships, how you can look for new friends in your community. Last month, step 2 was all about taking some action, saying yes to social invitations, getting out of your comfort zone again, maybe frequenting a local spot like a coffee shop or a bar or a gym or something. Also suggested maybe engaging with coworkers. So first, before we start step 3, we should kind of review what we did in the last month.
Okay.
Does anybody
Okay.
have anything?
I can go.
Okay.
Excellent.
So a couple things. There's a woman here in town that I've known for years. And we'll see each other every once in a while. And every time we see each other, we say, "Oh, we should go have a drink, or we should meet for coffee, or whatever." And so we actually made it happen.
Yay!
So I asked again, and the timing worked out. So she and I met at 4 o'clock on Monday up at Heartbreakers. I thought it was just going to be one glass of wine. I am a little embarrassed to say that, I don't know, it was probably around, let's see, it was probably around 7:30. Bill had to come and pick me up.
Woo!
I love this for you.
Yes. Right?
We had a good time. We chatted and chatted and chatted and chatted. And yeah, so I was not able to drive home, and it made Tuesday a little less productive than I wish it had been, but it was fun. And so I see us getting together again. So that was
Good.
Awesome.
that was one thing that I did.
Yeah. Did you schedule it? I have a feeling, well, at least for me, if it's
Mhm.
not like a schedule or hey, we're going to do this again in
Yeah.
a month or 2 weeks or whatever,
hmm
but it'll be, all of a sudden
It's
you'll
easier.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Months
Easier
later.
to go by the wayside. So she and her husband are leaving. They're leaving on a road trip for the whole month of April. So we
wow.
said, all right, when you guys get back, let's the 4 of us go. And, specifically called out a couple of restaurants. They live in Victoria. So, let's go hit Winchester and Rye, or let's go hit the Noble Lion when you guys get back. So that's the action. That's as far as we could take it.
Yeah.
But
Good.
that's also really perfect timing because now you can say, we want to hear all about your trip.
Yeah.
Tell us all about your trip. So I think sometimes that's what the fear is. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're now going to bring your husbands or partners in, are
Mhm.
they going to like them? You know,
Mhm.
it's a big deal for you, for
Yeah.
us, and somebody new. But now we're introducing,
Yeah.
you know, our partners into it. That's the
Mhm.
perfect situation where you will
Yeah.
have topic of conversation to at least get you started and somewhere to
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exciting.
Good job. Gold
I
star.
know.
Thank
Kitty
you.
gets a gold star.
Yeah.
Yep,
How about you,
Even though
yep, yep.
Stace?
Bill wasn't all that happy with me, but that's another story.
Well, he'll get over it. It'll be fine. Yeah, I mentioned a couple of things I was going to work on. One was, you remember I said we invited a couple to go on vacation with us that we hadn't done much with for a while. Went on vacation to Mexico. It was fabulous. We had a great time. So that was fun, kind of reconnecting and, you know,
That's
getting back.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was fun. The other one was you said, hey, you should go hang out at Juniper and Olive, which is our little cocktail bar real close to here. I did that once. There was literally no one, no one, no one there,
Huh.
to really connect with. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Um, Madison and I went, so that wasn't that it was the two of us and there was no, it didn't look like we would, you know, talk to anyone else. There were just about three other tables and they were big groups. There was one group of like four different couples and they were obviously there just to talk to each other and
Uh-huh.
a family at a table. They were obviously just there and no one other than the two of us sitting at the bar. So that, that's a thing, it'll have to be a time when there's people, it's busier, people sitting at the bar looking for,
Yeah.
conversation type of thing. So yeah,
Mhm.
that'll take me a while. Can't go there just all the time. It's only open on weekends and only
Yeah.
even some weekends. So there you go.
But also, it wasn't wasted because it's
Oh
good
no.
practice.
Oh
It's
yeah.
good practice. And the next
Mhm.
time you go, easier. And then also a note in your head that, like, if I want to talk to somebody, I need to be at the bar.
Yes.
Because the
Oh,
people who were at
absolutely.
the tables were not
Right.
open for business.
Right, that's
Yeah.
exactly it, and I knew that, that's where we sat,
Yeah.
and I've known that there's been times when I've been there when the bar, seating is packed and there's 100 people, a bunch of people to
Mhm.
talk to. It's just
Mhm.
a bummer of a day.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
I know.
Do you know the people that own the
Yeah.
place?
Yeah, she wasn't there, so
Oh,
she
yeah.
just
Because she would
had.
not have,
Oh,
she would have
yeah.
talked your ear off.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know, yeah, she does,
Mhm.
so she wasn't there. The couple of bartenders that were busy, because there was only then two,
Mhm.
without her, and usually there's even more than that. So they were
Yeah.
busy. So, yeah. No, it was fun anyway. Madison and I always have a good time. But yeah, it was kind of a bummer that there was no one there to chat up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'll have to try it again, and I will.
Mhm.
So,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. How about you, Amy?
I went to my favorite little local bar by myself one night because it was on the way home and it was a nice enough night to walk. Sat right down, kind of in front of the two TVs where I like to sit at the bar, and there's single person, two seats, single guy, two seats. So I was going to end up sitting by somebody anyway. And I'm almost done with my meal, and a man comes and sits down next to me because it had gotten a little bit bigger, and he was debating about. He was new, similar of age, debating about dessert, and I had just finished their apple crisp. I must have been celebrating a sale because that's usually when I go down and get myself a glass of wine, a little bit of dinner. And of course, we struck up a conversation, and I met Daniel, who was in for business, and his son is just going to go to Harvard next year, and had just a nice conversation with him, and got up to leave, and he's like, "Thank you so much. It's so nice to have met you." You know, it was
Oh,
just
nice.
kind of fun. So
Yeah.
I think that, like we've talked about before, when you're traveling, for some reason, it's easier to just strike up conversations with people.
Yeah.
And I watched for the cues, and he was, not quite sure about the whole restaurant. And, I was at Red Cow, and I kind of, he goes, "So what do you think about these 3 desserts?" I'm like, not this one. These 2 are really good. So he was asking in my wheelhouse. The other thing I'm actually going to do Friday night is I'm going to a work retirement party
Oh,
with somebody that works on the construction side of things that I've talked to a few times in the past 2 years. I don't really run into him all that often, but he's been a mainstay at the company since, he was probably like the 3rd hire.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's at Mystic Lake. So I probably will just drive over there after work and pop in and say hey and talk to my coworkers a little bit and head home.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not really a casino person, and they'll all have couples around, and I'll be the singleton again, and so
Yeah. But still, opportunity to see people maybe you don't very often, network a
Right.
little bit with your,
right,
you know,
yeah, and
with
try and have
people
some.
that'll be there. Yeah. Be there,
Yeah.
but
There are people that I have phone conversations with, but I never have in-person conversations with. So I'm probably going to have to do a little Google search to make sure I can put faces and names together.
Mhm.
yeah.
I kind of think maybe I should suggest that on everybody's signature line, they have a photo of
Have a
themselves.
photo.
So
Yeah.
when we're emailing each other back and forth, we can at least have a face, because
Yes.
your first week that you're there in training, you meet everybody, and then you're gone, and you don't know anything about the company to put any links together to
Mhm.
remember the faces and the names and what they do. And so
Yeah.
now, months and months later, I have, I probably called 2 people the wrong name. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So we
Okay.
all did something.
Yeah, we did. We did. I think
For us.
part of the moral of the story is it takes a while and it's not easy and it takes some work, takes a plan.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then you have to do it. You actually have to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
And once isn't enough,
Oh no.
Right.
right? You have to keep consistency.
Right.
I feel like I hear that word every time I turn around, and it's so true. It can be the secret sauce to so many things.
Right. Yep. So month 3, here's what it suggests for month 3. Explore group activities. So it suggests join a recurring social club, like a book club or a sports team or a language group. I don't know what a language group is. What is a language group?
Well, if you wanted to go take classes on how to speak Spanish.
How to speak something else. All
Yeah.
right. Volunteer for a community event or charity. Attend a group fitness class like yoga, cycling, martial arts. And the last one, host a small gathering at home to practice your social hosting skills. There you go.
I think we're all pretty good at the social hosting skills.
Yeah,
Yes, we
we do too.
love that.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that we have a pretty good success rate with the book club, because this podcast started from book club and long ranging friends. But, some of those other things that we got to go try and do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see where volunteering for a community event or charity would put you with people with your same interest, I think. Finding, other people that, in your community that are active in doing different
Yes.
things. I can see that as putting you close together with other people, within your community pretty quickly. So
And
that's
and
an
again,
interesting.
it also gets back to the idea that you don't have something new to talk about. You have a subject
Yeah.
right there. So
Yeah.
you already have a connection point that you can build on.
Yeah.
And if they're in your community, you probably you probably are going to recognize them at a minimum, or some people. So whether it's a neighbor or, your bank teller or grocery clerk or something like that.
Yeah.
So that is a nice way in.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Yep.
I so I go to the post office every Monday morning with my packages. And last week I walked in and there was another woman who was bringing some things in, and we looked at each other, and I just felt like I know this person. She looks really familiar. I've seen her somewhere, and we both kind of, when you're both trying to figure it out, and I said, I feel like I know you. And we kind of, said, oh, well, are your kids? So, well, Bo's much older than her kids are, so it wasn't that. And we tried to compare a few things. We couldn't come up with it, but that was an interesting exchange because it didn't produce anything.
Right.
It was short enough that it was just going to be, oh, well, okay, have a good day, But I don't know. Clearly, I've seen her somewhere, and I might see her again. And so now, the next time I do see her, we're going to do it again. We're going to be like, all right, we're going to the same places here. Maybe we should know each other.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
then you can say, I definitely know I've seen you before.
Yeah,
Yeah. From the post office and somewhere else.
that's
I'm
right.
your post office pal.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I easily could have just walked away. I easily could have just said, "Oh yeah, wow, that lady looks familiar. I don't know
Yeah.
who it is."
I
So,
had
yeah.
somebody come in during Parade of Homes. It's been Parade of Homes for the last month, and that means Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There are probably close to 400 homes all around the metro area that are open for anybody to come and walk through. You don't have to have a realtor. A lot of people love to come in and just see what the new design trends are. What are the colors? What are the decorating? So I've had a lot of traffic in the last, 3 weeks, and a couple came in, and I looked at her. I'm like, I know you. I know you. We did the same exact thing. She wasn't, when you're doing that and you're the salesperson with a name tag on, people don't really want to jump in quite as deep for fear that you're digging
Yeah.
for them. But
Yeah.
it was kind of fun. So
Mhm.
yes, I have seen people that I know, and I like it. And also, it's a little bit hard. Kitty, you probably have the same issue that I do. Nobody knows us as blondes.
Mhm.
We've been in that area as brunettes for,
Yeah.
for a super long time. And I changed my last name, so my name tag has a different last name than what they might, put it together with daughters and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just other things to work through.
Mhm.
But it makes it interesting. The more you do it,
Yeah.
you never know. You never know what the connection will be. And if they're, just as sassy and smart alecky as I am, then that's a fun exchange.
Yeah.
It's a
Agreed.
micro connection. Even if it's not a friend,
Connection.
it's a micro connection.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a connection. That's right.
Yeah.
That is right.
So in that list of stuff, I find it really interesting. Nobody, that list didn't mention church groups.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. How that's one of the things that I think parents, or at least I remember my parents being super super involved in, was church.
Yeah.
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 And I would say the core of their friends came from, or at least started in church, and then they found out, oh yeah, they like to golf, they like to play cards, they like to
Yeah.
do all these other things.
Yeah.
So I did a little dive, but I'm just really interested. Have you noticed that in your friends, in your groups, in your communities, that there isn't that organized religion.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Especially around us being a small town. everybody, everybody that goes to church goes to Ames or Webster City. They go to a bigger city, and go to church.
Hmm.
I mean, there are churches out, there are churches in Jewel. There's some others close, but a lot of people do go to these different churches, and it seems to be that there are very, I don't know even what to call them, the new type of Christian church, not necessarily a denomination, but they're
Evangelical.
yeah, they seem to be getting bigger, and the denominational church seem to be dwindling. The and I'm talking about the type of church that has daycare for kids, a coffee shop in the entryway, the very music and
Big screens.
big
Mm.
screens, that seems to draw um younger people, I'll admit
Yeah.
it, younger people with families.
Yep.
Whereas the old fashioned Lutheran church, like my mom goes to, for instance, there's no one, hardly anyone there. You know what I mean? Oh, I have a funny story. How about this? So a couple weeks ago, went home and um, went to church with my mom and my brother. Now, my mother, who's very active in church, she had to be the greeter, of course, because she's always doing something. So she she went early, and then my brother and I went, 20 minutes later, and we walk in and sit down in a pew, and she she gets her greeting done and walks in and then doesn't sit by us.
Oh.
Because you didn't sit in her pew?
Probably not. I don't know. And we just looked at each other like, whatever. I don't know. I don't know if she forgot in that 20 minutes that we were there. I have no idea, but
Oh.
we looked at each other like, wow, whatever. Anyway,
Um,
but I
we
just but it was just a noticing that the people that were there were the same people I remember going to church as a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
they're all in their, 70s and 80s, and there were no families, no kids. You know what I mean? I just think
Mhm.
that's lost the appeal to, families as part of a community.
Yep.
So it's
um,
interesting.
so I called on the chat GPT, and asked for a comparison to 1980s.
Mm,
The church churchgoers, breakdown by denominations, by regionality, trying, just general demographics. And they found something like 42% of Gen Z and millennials are less religious than, older. There was a statistic that did say as people get married and have kids, they come back to the church. It shows up in more importance.
sure.
And
Mhm.
then it did say that Gen Xers are having a fall off as well. And I'm like, what's the correlation? Ask that of ChatGPT. What's the correlation? Why are people? What are people citing? And a lot of it had to do with what did they say? Dismay with organized religion. Some of the controversies that have happened, abuse in the church, and other criminal things that have happened. So as we get older, we get a little bit more. We don't necessarily say we don't believe. There's a more of an emphasis on spirituality
Mhm.
versus organized religion.
Organized religion. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think there. So, um, I haven't looked at the statistics on this for a while, but I remember hearing. So we don't go to church anymore. Doesn't mean that we're not religious. Doesn't mean that we don't believe. All of that. We just like around COVID time, we just kind of petered off and just didn't go back. But I remember there being a lot of conversation around church membership is going down and fewer people are going to church, etc. So it has been interesting to watch this fluctuate because these younger generations are kind of coming back to it and they are wanting to be members of a church. Which is great. That's great. And I think, and you're right, Amy. So, as we age, we get jaded by things and, cynical about things. And okay, I don't want to be part of it anymore. So I'm just not going to go anymore. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm no longer a Christian.
Right.
And I think that's what it's been for me. I mean, I feel like, I am a Christian. Every single day, I'm saying a prayer. I'm talking, I'm talking every day. Every day. I said that to Bill one time, and he goes, "Really?" I say prayers every single night before I go to bed. Yes. Yeah.
I do too. And one is the one that I learned when I was 4 years old or whatever. It's still it's like the opening to my conversation.
Sure.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
But same. Growing up for me, I mean, we went to church every Sunday. I was in youth group. I was in choir. I was in the bell choir. We did plays. And that friend group that I developed there, those were, we all went to middle school and high school together, and we're still friends today. That's huge. So it is kind of sad if people aren't getting that, but I am encouraged by the fact that the numbers kind of seem to be turning around a little bit, and the millennials and Gen Z, they're kind of going back to church.
You mentioned COVID, and that was something that, COVID shut a lot of things down, but it also made it, churches made the transition, like so many did, to online.
Yes.
So there has been obviously the increase in online services, and now it's possible to watch services from all over the world, not just, your church in your town. So, but so although you can get your fix of religion, church that way, it doesn't make up for the community.
Right.
No.
Which is what we're talking about. So so it is a little harder for us.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's harder for for everybody to find these places of mutual interest, mutual commitment to something. Maybe a level playing field. So we do have to work harder. We do have to actually make an effort.
Yep. Yeah.
When you said about your mom and you and your brother in church, and I mentioned, did you sit in the wrong pew? Did your families all have the same seat that you sat in every single time? Yeah, we did too. And so then you knew those families that sat around you as well. I mean, you knew everybody pretty much, but you really knew those families. Let's make a note of that, mental note for one of our upcoming episodes where we talk about habits, superstitions. That's one of them.
That is one.
You have to sit in the same spot in church.
Yeah. And then what happens? Someday you walk in and there's somebody sitting in your seat.
Somebody else there. Yeah.
Slide over, people.
What's with this guy?
Yeah.
Who's the bouncer? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you walk up to the pew and you look at him with this face, like, "What are you doing in our seat?" Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, our church seat is on the opposite aisle that I always look for the airplane seats. So it's not, I don't always have to be on the right.
Okay.
There you go.
Just we're gonna dive into the quirks.
Yeah, it is. It probably is a little quirky. The things that we do over and over and over. We're going to call them habits, but they might be kind of quirks also.
Yeah. Yeah. So this month we are going to join some sort of organized event.
Okay.
Is that a big enough umbrella?
Yep. That'll be a challenge. Yes. Do something as a group, with a group. Yeah.
Stacy, didn't I see that there's some sort of Jewel gala going on for all the shops in Jewel?
Yes, that is like
fancy dresses. You should go.
Yes, I know. I keep seeing that every year, and it's like, gosh, why don't I do that? And then it's the next year, and it's, I wonder why I don't do that. Yeah. Yeah, they have a gala. It's like a fundraiser, type of thing. They get all fancy dressed up, and yeah.
That would be fun.
It would be fun. Yeah. Yep.
If I didn't work on the weekends, I'd come down and go to the gala with you.
And we could go. I know.
We could have the same picture in the dresses we wore to various weddings.
Right? Which would be about what it is. Yep.
I have a navy blue dress. I have a black dress. Yeah.
I know. So yep, those are good ideas. We'll have to figure something out.
Yeah.
All right, we're making headway on the friendship front.
We are, and a review. This will be month 3, so we will see how it goes. Like I said, we're in it for the long haul. We want to, take step by step and then see what our progress is over an entire year. How we, made connections, hopefully made new friends, and shared with everybody else.
Yep.
We're going to have good stories.
Yes, we will.
Yep, I agree. Well, I think this can... Well, first, does anyone have a shot? Does anyone have a shot today?
I do.
Oh, hey.
I do, and it comes along with a little related story. So I chose to hold this little part of the story back until I could share my shot. Okay, so I have a customer who it's Deanna. You guys know her. She was a guest on our show, of course. Okay, Deanna always has the most beautiful nails. And I know this because she doesn't live here. She's across the country, but she posts photos in our group because
she does this.
She always does.
Yes, exactly. She's always showing her jewelry, and she's always doing this because she's showing her rings and her bracelet. And so even Bill has commented. He's like, Deanna's nails are so pretty. Like, what? So I asked her, said, what, do you go to the salon? What do you do? She said, no, I use a press-on nail, and it's called Red Aspen, and I've used it for 3 years, and I'll use nothing but that. Like, I'd like to give that a try. So, because I've been getting the dip nails, and I love the way that they look. I don't like paying for them. Okay, so I start doing research on this brand, Red Aspen, and I find that there's a consultant who lives right on the border of Chanhassen and Eden Prairie. So I sent her a message through her website or Facebook or something, and I just said, hey, I've heard a lot about these nails. I'm interested in giving this a try. It looks like you and I are close together. Could we meet? So she and I went and met for coffee, and she brought nails, and that's what I'm wearing now.
Put them up to the camera. Let's see.
Okay. And okay, the lighting is going to be hard here. There we go.
Oh, those look really nice.
I've got a French manicure on today. And I'm loving the product. I'm loving it. So a fraction of the cost, right? So these range between like $14 and $16 for a set, and they'll stay on for a couple of weeks, 2 weeks ish. They have all different colors and patterns and lengths. These are short. The first ones that I had on, I put them on right before St. Patrick's Day. It was a really cool, sort of a chrome green, gorgeous, but they were long, much longer than I am used to wearing. So, two bonuses on this. One, I'm loving the product, and I'm going to do this for a while to kind of get my fingernails back to a healthier state. And also, I don't want to spend $50 going and getting my nails done. Okay, that, and she's lovely. We had a great conversation. I love that she's super close, and so now we text each other when we change our nails. We text each other, and we will get together again.
Oh, nice!
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
So
That
how
was
do you
an
take them
excellent-
off?
Yeah. How and they really stay on for 2 weeks. Because anytime I've done press-on nails, they fall off in 2 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
they look nice.
I've had, like today my thumb popped off, but I just glued it right back on. It's so, depends on how much you're doing with your hands. And what was the other question? Oh, how do you get it off?
Get 'em off.
So the cuticle oil. So you just have a little bottle of cuticle oil. So you just dab that around, just kind of let that soak for a little bit. And then I've got this little tool that almost looks like those little teeth flossers, little handle thing. And so you just kind of put that down right here, and then you just kind of rock it a little bit, and it just kind of pops the nail off.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so super easy to get on. Actually, here's the little tube of glue. The lighting is hard here.
Yeah.
Lighting
It's
is
like
too hard.
a typical
Yeah.
nail glue.
Yep, exactly. So I just put a little drop on the nail, flip it over, press it down, rock it back and forth a little bit, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll report back once I've had longer wear with them. I'll report back. But again, I mean, Deanna, she's been using them for 2 or 3 years, and she's like, it's all I use. It's all I wear.
Cool.
Nice.
So
Yeah. Very nice. And the name of it again was
Red Aspen.
Red Aspen nails.
Mhm.
Very good.
And there are others too, and I see them all over my social channels now. Olive and June was one of the first ones that came out, and that you can get at Target. But there's Curve Life and Glamnetic makes nails now too, not just eyelashes. So there are quite a few, and I think they're getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I like that. I like that because I did them originally years ago too, like way back. I remember way back when I worked at Capsule, I used the Kiss brand that you'd find at Target, and I loved the way they looked, but I just couldn't keep them on.
Keep them on.
So I think the product is getting better because again, sometimes people they're just like I mean, it's a time commitment to go to the salon as well. I'm not saying that I won't ever do it again because I loved my dip nails, but
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a good
that's good.
shot.
Good to try.
yeah.
How about you, Amy? Do you have a shot?
Other than I started the new Netflix series, The Residents.
Oh,
Did you start that?
is it new?
It is. Not The Resident by Shonda Rhimes. It's kind of a White
Oh, then
House
no.
detective whodunit. It's
Oh,
it's a
the
little
Resident.
it's a little quirky, little odd. But I think I've watched 4 episodes. Okay, maybe more than that. It's only 8 episodes. I think I'm on number 6.
Okay.
So I think it's worth watching. I think it's different than anything else that's out there. It is a whodunit. I don't know who did it thus far.
There you go.
The characters are kind of funny, so give it a try.
There
Give
you
it a try. What the heck?
I'm still working my way through the Oscar.
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah.
I did watch Nora. That was interesting.
Okay, I still have to watch it.
Yeah, I'm not
So.
gonna. I won't say anything about it. Today when I got home from work, I watched. Oh gosh, what's A Real Pain?
Oh, did you like it?
No, not a
Oh.
fan.
See, it makes me look like I was a good travel companion, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. 'Cause that was something. I guess it just wasn't, and of course, it just wasn't very exciting. You know what I mean? I'm evidently more of an action and a thriller and anything other than that kind of movie. I don't even see, and that movie I don't think was nominated, was it? Was that nominated?
The
But
movie itself was not.
right,
Right.
but you know, um, lost it.
Kieran Culkin
Kieran
won.
Culkin won Best Supporting Actor. I wouldn't even say it was anything unusual. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was okay. It was just okay. It was not stellar. So, yeah, there's my review of that anyway. Someday we really are going to have a, post Oscars after we
Yes, we
watch
are.
all the movies.
In a
We're gonna
couple
have
weeks.
yes, we're going to have another discussion. So we'll put that on hold.
Based on Anne's recommendations and synopsis,
Yes.
we're gonna try some more.
Yeah. Yep. If anybody liked White Lotus, the new season of White Lotus is out. So
I don't have that.
Hulu
Is that on
watch.
Hulu?
Mm-mm. I don't think so.
Is it Hulu?
It's on one of the ones I don't have.
I think it is Hulu. I think it's Hulu.
Really?
Or is it Apple TV? I don't know. One or the other. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Well, if we have nothing else, this concludes this episode of Three Cocktails In.
Cheers, my friends.
Cheers. We'll see you all next week.
You all.
Woohoo!
Have a good week.
All of us in pink. Pink.
Bye.
Woohoo!
All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration. Let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud past 10.